All right, welcome back, guys, to the channel. This video is going to be short and sweet, and we're just going to cover the absolute propaganda that the Jesuits, okay, if you guys don't know what the Jesuits are, the Society of Jesus, the Knights Templar, the modern day Knights Templar of the Roman Catholic Church, the ones who run our society, who dictate all the propaganda that goes out. And last night, you guys remember, if you guys have been following my content, just a few days ago on 8/4, Donald Trump was in Montgomery, Alabama. Why Montgomery, Alabama? Well, Montgomery, Alabama was the capital of the Civil War of the Confederacy during the Civil War. Was their first capital. They eventually moved it to Richmond, Virginia. But Montgomery, Alabama has a huge connection to the Civil War. If you guys haven't watched my videos about Donald Trump and Montgomery, go back and watch those. But what are the chances that a few days later in Montgomery, there's a viral video circulating of a brawl near the riverfront in Montgomery, Alabama, okay? Just a few days ago, Donald Trump was in Montgomery. It had a lot of connections to the Civil War, and now this is a racially divided video. You have a white guy attacking the black guy, and they're turning against each other. Now, come on, guys. Let's not let these people dictate and turn us against each other. This is exactly the reason why we cannot come together and get rid of these dictators, is because they're constantly turning us against each other. Do you guys remember the George Floyd thing? Do you guys remember the divide that it created? Okay? And again, it's a racially divided thing. Now, if you guys know the Jesuits, let me just pull them up for you guys so you can see. The Jesuit order, okay, is, again, the IHS, the Society of Jesus, the ones who work for the Pope, the Catholic Church, okay? We're coming up on their birthday, which is August 15th. But they love to use these divisions to keep people fighting amongst each other, okay? And this brings up the thought of the story of Cain and Abel. You know, the Cain and Abel story where the brother gets jealous of the other brother and murders him, right? And this is obvious that this is what they're pointing to. I'm going to show you how the WWE was also foreshadowing this in their event on August 5th, which is just 3 days ago. Okay? This whole show ended with the betrayal of one twin to another twin. Two twins called the Usos. The one twin cost his twin brother and betrayed him against the cousin. Now, if you guys haven't been following WWE, I'm not going to go into all the details, but the leader of the group, the Bloodline, was Roman Reigns, and he's been champion for over 3 years now. He just happens to have the same birthday, Roman Reigns does, as the day that George Floyd was killed, May 25th. I'll bring up Roman Reigns so you guys can see. Okay. Roman Reigns, the leader of the Bloodline. This is a clear reference to the Roman Catholic Church, the Roman Empire that still exists and still dictates our lives today. Notice that he was born May 25th, and this is the same day that George Floyd the George Floyd ritual happened. Okay, and now a few days before this Montgomery brawl, you have a brother betraying a brother the same day that it's in the news that a racially divided fight is viral, right? And it's going to cause more racial tensions. And why are they doing this now? And guess where WWE was last night when this brawl was going on, okay? WWE, Monday Night Raw, last night, August 7th, okay? So there was a betrayal even in the show last night, but this took place. Let me see if I can find it. It took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And where was George Floyd murdered? Well, he was murdered in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Do you guys see how perfectly this is scripted? Now let's go to the date. Let's go to the date that George Floyd was, what happened to George Floyd happened on the 146th day of the year with 220 days remaining. Okay? So just note this 146. Now that was a leap year. So normally this day is the 145th day of the year. Remember, this is Roman Reigns' birthday, the leader of the bloodline, and his two cousins, his cousin betrayed his brother. Okay, this is a family, right? And they're trying to say they're turning the families against each other. They're turning humanity against each other, creating a civil war. Okay? And so the same night as Roman Reigns' birthday, George Floyd gets, you know what? And then on 8/7 last night, when WWE was in Minneapolis, which is the same city that George Floyd was killed, look at this, guys. It's the opposite day on the calendar. The day that George Floyd was killed was 146th day of the year with 220 remaining. And the day last night, when WWE was in the same city that George Floyd was killed, was the 146 days left in the year. So the opposite days on the calendar, 146th day for George Floyd, and last night was the 146 days left. Now the news will be viral probably today also, which is the 220 day of the year, which is 8/8, and it's the 145th days left in the year. Well, why is that important? Because normally when in a non-leap year, today, or on May 25th, Roman Reigns' birthday, when George Floyd was killed, is the 145th day of the year, kind of like today. Notice this 145 and 220. It's the opposite days on the calendar. But again, last night was the 146th day of the year, and George Perry Floyd was killed last night was the day leaving 146 days in the year. George Floyd killed on May 25th, Roman Reigns' birthday, 146th day of the year in 2020, because it was a leap year. So if we take a measurement, from that day, from the day Floyd was killed to yesterday, you're going to see that it was 167 weeks. And why is that important? Because that's the 39th prime. And let me just show you something real fast here. So I just showed you that the measurement from the George Floyd to yesterday, when WWE was in Minneapolis, the same place Floyd was killed, on the opposite day of the calendar, was 167 weeks exactly. Okay? And 167 is the United States. Okay? They're sending the United States, and they're turning the United States against each other. The destruction from within of the United States, the Trojan horse of jealousy and resentment for other races that these people manipulate. 167, like the United States, exactly 167 weeks from George Floyd to yesterday. Again, WWE is all about this betrayal right now of Jimmy Uso's betrayal at WWE SummerSlam of his brother Jey Uso, okay? And it was a huge event in WWE because these twins have been together and fought alongside each other for years now, for like 10 years. And now this is the betrayal, okay? This is the turning people against each other, just like what happened in Montgomery last night, tied to the George Floyd thing, the same type of propaganda that they always use. And so let's just look at the gematria, because on this channel, guys, if you're new, we use the numerical code that the Jesuit order uses to code their news stories, to code their events. They use a numerical code, and all it is taking the letters and giving them numerical values. So for instance, the 4 base ciphers are the 2 forward ciphers and the 2 reverse ciphers. And you just take each letter, like U is the 21st, N is the 14th, I is the 9th, and so on, and you add them up and you get 157. You do the same thing in reverse, where A becomes 26th letter and Z becomes the first, and you add those up and you get reverse ciphers. And you also have your 2 reduction ciphers, where you reduce double digits like the letter J down from the 10th letter, which it normally is, to a 1, because 1 plus 0 is 1. So J, therefore, in the reduction cipher is worth 1. So let's look and let's see how the numbers all match up perfectly. Now, Donald Trump was just in Montgomery, which is hugely connected to the Civil War, and fighting amongst each other, right? Just like what they're doing. All right. let me get this spelled right. The Renaissance Hotel is where Donald Trump gave his speech the other night. And I just want you guys to notice the connections here, all right? And I just want to focus on one number right now. I want to focus on the 201. All right? So what do we have going on here, guys? I just told you that this is all connected to George Perry Floyd, who just happens to equal 201, kind of like the Jesuit order equals 201. Now, yesterday, this propaganda, this Montgomery Brawl, was called a riverfront brawl. See right here, riverfront brawl, or it could also be called the Montgomery Brawl because it was in Montgomery. And just look at this, guys. Montgomery Brawl and riverfront brawl both equal 201. And of course, Donald Trump was just at the Montgomery, the Renaissance Hotel equals 201, and that's where he was just a few days ago on 8/4. So if we go back to the list, the 201 is the important number here, but I want you guys to also notice the other connections. Notice the 231s. Let's look at the 231s because this is important as well. Notice that the whole thing in WWE right now, right around this time, is the betrayal of two brothers, the one brother betraying the other brother. Jimmy Uso's betrayal. I want you guys to notice what that equals. Jimmy Uso's betrayal equals 231, like George Perry Floyd, like Cain and Abel. Now, in this show, when he betrays his brother, the announcer of the show says, this is a Cain and Abel. He says the words Cain and Abel. So they want you to know that this is also tied to the Cain and Abel story of the betrayal, turning people against each other. And what are the chances that the 231, Jimmy Uso's betrayal, which is what the phrase they've been using, and George Perry Floyd, which is this all connected to, okay? So now if we go back, you're going to notice that Riverfront Brawl equals 84, kind of like the Renaissance Hotel where Trump was in Montgomery just a few days ago on 8/4. Notice that Jimmy Uso's betrayal also equals 105, like the Renaissance Hotel. And just notice that George Perry Floyd also has a couple cipher connection to Cain and Abel, turning each other against each other. Now, one last thing I want to mention here. Riverfront, which is what they called this brawl, it was at a riverfront in Montgomery. Just look at the connections here, guys. Look at the words riverfront and Montgomery. They have a two-cipher match. So what's the chances there's a brawl that goes viral on a riverfront in Montgomery, and it equals 145 and 125? Okay, but I want you to just focus on this 145 because 145 is connected to this because this happens one day before the 145 days left in the year. And the George Floyd incident happened on May 25th, which in a normal calendar year, which is not a leap year, is the 145th day of the year. Okay, so just notice that Riverfront and Montgomery both equal 145, which connects to the date that George Floyd was killed, because normally that's the 145th day of the year. And now here we are in the 145th day of the year, the 145 days left in the year. And now this whole thing with this other brawl. And remember, guys, last night, WWE was in Minneapolis, which was the same city that the George Floyd thing happened. And remember, their current WWE champion, Roman Reigns, was born on the same day that George Floyd was killed. You guys see how perfectly this is propaganda by the numbers. They're turning people against each other. So do not let them do this, guys. Us here in this community, most of us know this, but I'm trying to get this video out to others who will fall for this propaganda. We are one society. We should be working together, but these people turn everyone against each other. So that's all I wanted to say in this video, guys. I just wanted to make it clear how this ritual was playing out, why this is viral right now in Montgomery. So I hope you guys do well. I might be back later with another video. But anyways, take care out there, guys. Don't let them divide us. We need to stick to the facts. We need to expose this, and we need to not turn against each other because we need to focus on exposing these lies. Okay? So anyways, take care out there. I'll see you in the next video.